So yeah, basically, if there's an opportunity to visit my lab, my lab's in Chase Hall, and I'm more than happy for us to walk over there and look at it if you want to, which is just a 5-minute walk. I can tell you some of the research we do in there if that would interest you. Even though it's engineering, it's an engineering department, and that's my primary role. I work with animal scientists. I work with Dr. Moat over here, who is the swine extension specialist. I work with Dr. Dustin Loy in the vet school. He's a bacteriology diagnostician in the Vet Diagnostic Center. And I work with folks in the Agricultural Research Service, which is a USDA, a branch of the USDA. And they are, one's an environmental microbiologist. The other one is, I don't know, they're both microbiologists. They kind of have different focus areas. There's a couple of engineers down at the Meat Animal Research Center I work with. So my research is pretty broad. I've got a kind of one segment of my program that's looking at antimicrobial resistance in manure, and so both the antimicrobial resistant bacteria, the genetic material that conveys that resistance, and the antimicrobial compounds themselves, and how their fate as they go from the animal to the surface where they're deposited, to the storage system where that manure is held, to the land where they're applied, and then how do those different components break down or multiply over time in the environment. And then we also have work looking at, when you apply manure and you have runoff within a day, or within 2 days, whatever, how does that impact the transport of those contaminants to off of the soil surface? We've got work going in the swine area looking at the porcine epidemic diarrhea virus, which, if you're familiar with the swine industry at all, you're aware of how big of a deal that's been for the last few years. And so the work we're doing is looking at the ability of that virus to survive in stored manure in soil where you've applied that manure, in the mortalities themselves. If we compost the mortalities to dispose of them, does the virus survive in there, or is that sufficient to deactivate the virus? So it's kind of a biosecurity focused project, looking at where that virus remains in the environment. Other animal related projects, I've got a research project that's a collaboration with Dr. Erickson here in the department, the beef nutritionist, feedlot nutritionist. And he's interested in, obviously, nutritional inputs for beef cattle, and I'm interested in ways to use manure. And so this collaboration among he and I, and then Dr. Samoda Fernando over here, we're looking at digesting beef manure and using the liquid off of that digestion process to grow algae that could then be used as a feed additive for cattle. And we've kind of added in a component. I've got a grad student working on just the runoff holding pond effluent from beef cattle feedlots, so the water that runs off and it's held there, can we use that to grow algae, because the digestate doesn't seem to be doing the trick very well. So that's kind of an very integrated project, looking at manure production and utilization and energy production, and then algae and feedlot nutrition. So those are kind of the main research projects that I have going now. I feel like I'm forgetting. Oh, yeah, the other one is looking more at the role of manure in soil health, so soil quality and soil fertility. And so we're looking at different combinations, manure, cover crops, and those sorts of things, and how that impacts crop productivity and soil properties.